The storm hit without warning, turning the peaceful research station into a battleground against nature's fury. Ethan Rodriguez pressed his face against the reinforced window, watching lightning tear across the dark Pacific sky. Marine biologist. Stationed on this remote island, he'd seen his share of storms, but this one felt different. The wind howled like something ancient and angry, and the rain struck the glass with unusual force. Then he saw it. A streak of blue light cut through the storm. It's too bright to be lightning, too controlled to be debris. Arced across the sky and disappeared behind the rocky cliffs on the island's eastern shore. The impact shook the ground beneath his feet, rattling equipment and sending books tumbling from shelves. Ethan grabbed his emergency kit and waterproof jacket. Protocol demanded he stay inside during severe weather, but something deep in his chest pulled him toward that crash site. He'd always trusted his instincts, and they'd never led him astray. The journey across the island was treacherous. Lashed his face as he climbed over slippery rocks and pushed through dense vegetation. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing a path of scorched earth leading to a small crater. What he found there defied explanation. The vessel was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Its surface seemed to shimmer between silver and deep ocean blue, as if made from liquid metal that had somehow solidified. Steam rose from its cracked hull, and a soft, pulsing glow emanated from within. That's when he heard it. A sound so beautiful it made his heart skip. Not quite singing, not quite crying, but something between the two. Achingly. Something achingly sad yet. Hauntingly melodic, Ethan approached carefully, his boots crunching on the strange crystalline debris scattered around the craft. Through a jagged opening in the hull, he glimpsed movement. His breath caught in his throat as he saw her. She was curled against the far wall, her skin a luminescent shade of blue that seemed to glow from within. Long dark hair streamed around her like seaweed, and when she lifted her head to look at him, he was struck by eyes the color of liquid silver. They were filled with pain, fear, and something else he couldn't identify. She whispered something in a language he'd never heard, but somehow, impossibly, he understood the meaning. Please don't hurt me. Ethan slowly extended his hand, his voice gentle despite the storm raging around them. I won't hurt you. Let me help you. Healing Hearts, Ethan's research station, had never housed anyone like Naya. That was the name she'd whispered during those first delirious hours as he'd carefully carried her from the wreckage. She was unlike anything from his world, yet achingly familiar in ways he couldn't explain. Her wounds were healing remarkably fast, the cuts on her arms and legs closing themselves with a faint blue luminescence. For 3 days, she barely spoke, only watching him with those incredible silver eyes as he brought her food, water, and clean bandages. Her skin felt cool to the touch, like ocean spray on a summer morning. And sometimes, he caught her staring longingly at the windows that faced the sea. On the 4th morning, she finally broke her silence. Why did you save me? She asked her, voice carrying the rhythm of waves against shore. Ethan looked up from his research notes, startled by the question. Because you needed help. That's what people do, not my people. Her expression grew distant. In Aquatica, we are taught that survival comes first. Weakness is left behind. Aquatica. Naya sat up slowly, her movements graceful despite her injuries. My home world. It lies beneath the deepest oceans of a distant system. We are the children of water and starlight, she told him then about her. Underwater cities built from living coral, about schools of luminescent fish that served as transportation, about a society that had mastered the art of living in harmony with the sea. But her voice grew heavy when she spoke of the Council of Elders and their rigid traditions. I was to be bonded with Corvain, heir to the Northern Territories, she said, her hands clenching. A political alliance to strengthen our realm's borders. But I couldn't accept a life without love, without choice. Ethan moved closer, drawn by the pain in her voice. So you ran? I stole a exploration vessel and fled through the void. I hoped to find a world where I could be free, where I could choose my own path. She looked at him then, and he saw vulnerability. Beneath her alien beauty, I never expected to find someone who would care whether I lived or died. That evening, as they sat on his small balcony, watching the sunset, paint the ocean in shades of gold and crimson. Naya reached for his hand. Her fingers were long and elegant, with a subtle webbing between them that spoke of her aquatic nature. "Your touch doesn't burn," she whispered in wonder. "Should it?" She shook her head. "My people believe that contact with outsiders weakens us, dilutes our essence. But with you," she intertwined their fingers, marveling at the contrast between his sun-weathered skin and her luminescent blue. "With you I feel stronger." Their first kiss happened naturally, like the tide meeting the shore. Her lips tasted of salt and starlight, and when she pressed closer to him, he felt the rapid beating of a heart that was remarkably similar to his own. Growing connection. 2 weeks had passed since Naya's arrival, and Ethan's world had transformed completely. What began as rescue had evolved into something far deeper. Each morning he woke to find her standing by the window, her hand pressed against the glass as she gazed at the endless ocean. Her longing for the water was palpable, yet she never asked to leave. "Show me," she said one morning, her silver eyes bright with curiosity. "Show me your work." Ethan led her to his small laboratory, explaining his research on coral reef restoration and marine ecosystem preservation. Her fascination was immediate and profound. She asked questions that revealed an understanding of ocean life that surpassed his years of study. "On Aquatica, we don't study the sea," she said, running her fingers along the edge of his microscope. "We live as part of it. Every current, every creature, every grain of sand has a song. Would you like to hear it?" That afternoon, she led him to the island's hidden lagoon. The water was crystal clear, fed by underground springs that kept it warm even in the cool morning air. Without hesitation, Naya slipped into the water, her skin immediately brightening to a brilliant azure. "Come," she called, extending her hand. The moment Ethan entered the water beside her, magic happened. Naya placed her palm against his chest and began to hum, a low, melodic sound that seemed to resonate through the water itself. Suddenly, the lagoon came alive around them. Schools of tropical fish swirled in choreographed patterns, their scales catching the sunlight like living jewels. A sea turtle emerged from the depths, swimming directly to Naya and nuzzling against her shoulder like an old friend. Even the coral seemed to pulse with newfound vibrancy. "They know you," Ethan breathed in amazement. "We're all connected," Naya whispered, her arms sliding around his waist beneath the warm water. "Every living thing in the ocean shares the same ancient song. I can teach you to hear it." As the days blended together, their connection deepened beyond the physical. They shared meals on the beach, her fingers teaching his how to weave kelp into intricate patterns while his showed her how to identify constellations in the night sky. She told him stories of Aquatica's floating gardens and singing whales, while he described the wonder of discovering new species in Earth's deepest trenches. Their nights were filled with gentle exploration and whispered confessions. Naya's skin glowed softly in the darkness, creating patterns of light that danced across his ceiling. Her touch was electric, sending shivers through him that had nothing to do with her cooler body temperature. "I never understood loneliness before I met you," she murmured one evening, her head resting on his chest as they lay tangled in sheets, still damp from their swim. "Because you were never lonely? Because I never knew what it meant to feel complete?" She lifted her head to look at him, her silver eyes reflecting the moonlight streaming through the window. "With my people, I was always different, always questioning. But with you, different feels like belonging." He kissed her forehead, breathing in her scent of sea spray and something uniquely her. "Then stay," he whispered. "Stay with me." But even as the words left his lips, they both knew it couldn't be that simple. The ships appeared on the horizon just as dawn broke over the Pacific. Ethan spotted them first through his telescope, 3 sleek vessels that seemed to skim the water's surface rather than cut through it. They moved with purpose, their destination unmistakable. "They found me," Naya whispered from behind him, her voice hollow with resignation. The lead ship was magnificent and terrible, its hull shifting between deep ocean blue and silver-like liquid mercury. As it drew closer, Ethan could see figures moving on its deck, tall and graceful beings with the same luminescent skin as Naya. "We have to run," he said, reaching for her hand. She shook her head sadly. There's nowhere to run that they cannot follow. The bond between all Aquaticans allows them to track me anywhere in the galaxy. A delegation arrived within the hour, 3 figures walking across the water as if it were solid ground. Their leader was imposing, with skin that gleamed like polished Abylonian eyes that held the cold depth of ocean trenches. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of crashing waves. "Princess Naya, of the Coral Throne," he intoned formally. "By order of the High Council, you will return to face judgment for your crimes against the realm." "What crimes?" Ith stepped protectively in front of Naya, though he knew how futile the gesture was. The leader's gaze fixed on him with barely concealed disgust. Contamination with an inferior species, abandonment of sacred duty, theft of royal property. Attention returned to Naya. "Your betrothed has been patient, princess, but the northern territories grow restless. The bonding ceremony will proceed immediately upon your return." Naya moved to stand beside Ethan, her chin lifted defiantly. "I will not be bonded to someone I do not love. Love is a human weakness." Another delegate spoke, his tone dripping with disdain. "It has no place in matters of state." "Love is what makes us strong," Naya countered, taking Ethan's hand in hers. The gesture was small, but significant. A public declaration that sent ripples of shock through the Aquatican delegation. The leader's expression hardened. "You have been corrupted beyond redemption. The Council offers one final mercy. Come willingly, and the human will be spared. Refuse, and we will ensure no trace of this contamination remains." Ethan felt Naya's grip tighten. On his hand, in her silver eyes, he saw the terrible weight of the choice before her. Her love for him against the lives of everyone she'd ever known. "I need time to decide," she said quietly. "You have until sunset," the leader replied. "But choose wisely, princess. Some paths cannot be undone." As the delegation withdrew, Ethan pulled Naya into his arms. They stood together on the beach where they'd shared so many precious moments, watching the alien ships maintain their vigil on the horizon. "I can't let them hurt you," she whispered against his chest. "And I can't let you sacrifice your happiness." "For duty," he replied, tilting her chin up to meet her gaze. "There has to be another way. What if there isn't? Then we face whatever comes together." He kissed her softly, tasting the salt of her tears. "Love shouldn't require sacrifice, Naya. It should multiply the strength we have to change the world." The sun began its descent toward the western horizon. They held each other close and began to plan their impossible escape from destiny itself. Love conquers all. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink. But Ethan barely noticed the beauty. His mind raced through possibilities, each more desperate than the last. Beside him, Naya stood silent and resolute, her luminescent skin dimmed by the weight of her decision. "There is a way," she said suddenly, her voice barely audible above the lapping waves. "But it requires trust beyond anything either of our peoples have ever attempted." Before Ethan could ask what she meant, the Aquatican delegation returned, their forms gliding across the water with supernatural grace. The leader's expression was impassive as he approached, but Ethan caught the flash of something else in those deep eyes, perhaps respect for the courage they'd shown. "Your decision, princess?" Naya stepped forward, her spine straight and her voice clear. "I choose a third path. It's one that honors both duty and love." The delegates exchanged glances. Clearly not expecting this response, the leader's jaw tightened. "There is no third path. The Council's will is absolute." "The Council serves the people," Naya replied, her skin beginning to glow with inner fire. "And the people deserve more than the endless cycle of political marriages and territorial disputes that have weakened our realm for generations." She turned to gesture toward Ethan, her hand finding his with perfect certainty. "This human has shown me something our people have forgotten. Now he studies the ocean not to conquer it, but to protect it. Now he saved me not for political gain, but because it was right. His people may be land dwellers, but they share our love for the sea." "Impossible," one of the younger delegates scoffed. "Humans are destroyers. They poison the waters and kill the coral." "Some do," Ethan said, finding his voice. "But many of us are fighting to heal the damage. We're learning to listen to the ocean's song, just as Naya taught me." To demonstrate, he waded into the shallow water and placed his hand on a piece of diseased coral he'd been studying. Under Naya's gentle guidance over the past weeks, he'd learned to sense the life force within it. Now, channeling that connection, he sent his energy into the dying organism. The change was subtle but unmistakable. The coral's gray pallor faded, replaced by healthy pink growth. Fish that had avoided the area for months suddenly appeared, drawn by the restored vitality. The aquatic indelegate stared in stunned silence. "He carries no technology," the leader whispered. "How is this possible?" "I've opened his mind to possibilities he never imagined," Naya explained. "Just as it opened mine to seeing beyond the boundaries of our world." She addressed her people directly now, her voice carrying across the water to the ships beyond. "I propose an alliance, not through forced marriage, but through shared purpose. Let Earth's healers work alongside Aquatica's guardians to restore the oceans of both our worlds." The debate that followed lasted through the night. Representatives from both species argued, questioned, and gradually began to understand. When dawn broke, it illuminated a new future. Ethan would become the first human ambassador to Aquatica. His research station transformed into a joint facility where both species could learn from each other. Naya would serve as the bridge between worlds, her unique position allowing her to guide the unprecedented cooperation. Their wedding took place at sunrise, conducted in both human and aquatic traditions. As they exchanged vows in the shallow water where they'd first shared the ocean song, schools of dolphins arrived. To witness the ceremony, their joyful clicking adding music to the moment. Her voice said different, Ethan whispered as he kissed his bride. "But my heart said stay." Naya smiled against his lips, her skin glowing with happiness. "And together, we'll show both our worlds that different can be beautiful." Them, the ocean sang with approval, carrying their love story to the depths where new alliances would grow, proving that the greatest adventures begin when hearts choose to stay.